Hi, everybody. Welcome to Remaking Medicine. I'm Emily F. Peters, here to talk once again about the most incredible change makers who are doing great work to transform healthcare, to make it more affordable, more trusted, better outcomes, better to work in, all these things. I'm the author of Artists Remaking Medicine, which is the book that really ties a lot of this work together. And today I'm really excited that we have special guest McKenzie Young, who is a very talented medical illustrator. Hi, McKenzie. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Emily. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself first, and then I want to talk everything medical illustration with you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mackenzie. I'm from the state of Georgia, and like Emily said, I'm a medical illustrator. I'm a recent graduate of Augusta University's Medical Illustration Graduate Program. I graduated in May. And before that, I got a degree in scientific illustration from the University of Georgia. And I've just always had a lifelong interest in art and science. And so I like to combine those two in what I do today. So, yeah.
And you're potentially the most famous medical illustrator on social media. Would that be true? Probably true.
I would say yes on TikTok. Um, but yeah, there are definitely some big names in the field overall. Like historically speaking, I get a bunch of comments about, "Oh, you're the next Frank Netter." I'm like, I wouldn't say that, but
Oh.
there are some big names out there that are kind of the ones that have been around for a long time,
Mhm.
who helped make the field into what it is today. But I'm very, blessed to kind of be the person on social media who is sharing the field, I guess, right now.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I
Yeah.
think, that's maybe one of the things, like an entry point into medical illustration is a lot of us think of this as like an ancient craft and something that maybe, historically was so important. Da Vinci was a medical illustrator. And that, maybe in modern times with cameras and video and 3D printing and all these things, like it's not as important. That is obviously not true. So tell us why medical illustration is such like a unique art form and a unique way of communicating.
Yeah, I feel like medical illustration and scientific illustration, they do such a good job for documenting research and also sharing that research with the world, whether it's students or patients or just kind of a lay public audience. And, historically speaking, medical illustration was kind of used as a form of documentation when cameras weren't around. But now that we have cameras, the need for it is definitely not like it's not an obsolete field by any means. There are many situations where doing an illustration versus taking a picture is way better for documenting and sharing the information, just as far as, clarity and emphasis on certain things. Um, and I get a lot of comments on my social media about kind of both sides, people that don't know better saying, "Oh, well, we don't need this anymore, just take a picture." And then, doctors and medical students and nurses saying, "I couldn't have got through med school without the use of illustrations in my studying." So
Mhm.
it's just kind of like adapting the field to what the needs are. Obviously, they're not going to be the same as they were, 200 years ago, but the field is always changing, always growing, and always kind of evolving to fit the needs of people today. So,
Yeah. And obviously patients too. I mean, you talked about clinicians, there being a big audience for medical illustrations, but I think you've seen with TikTok, people, just regular civilian people, really are finding your work very interesting as well.
yeah, that's very true. I feel like everyone at some point in their lives has encountered sort of the work that I'm doing or that medical illustrators do, whether it's they've been in a doctor's office and they're maybe looking at the pamphlets, or their doctor gives them a pamphlet, an educational pamphlet about their condition, or, they're a student and they're looking at the illustrations in their textbooks. Everyone at some point in their life has benefited from these types of illustrations for
Yeah.
sure.
Might be a little bit too much to maybe sit and watch a operation, because there are videos of operations, maybe too stressful as a patient, but maybe a gorgeous medical illustration of that would be the right thing for you.
Yeah, it definitely, and I witnessed that firsthand when I would go into the operating room as a student and I would sketch the procedures, and then I would go and create illustrations, really toning down on kind of the blood and the gore of it all and making it,
Mhm.
understandable to, patient audiences and students and, just kind of cleaning it up, making it concise and digestible for sure.
Mhm. And tell
Yeah.
us about, the first procedure that you were able to watch and sketch. And what was that? Was it so different than you expected it was going to be?
Yeah, so I think the first one that I saw was a salpingo oophorectomy, which is a
Mm.
removal of an ovary and the fallopian tube. Um, and I thought it was going to be really intense to where I was having to kind of fight to get in there or kind of battling for my spot to see the procedure, but it was really chill. They knew exactly what I was there to do. They had a stool for me to sit on and watch the procedure on the monitor because it was laparoscopic, so it was done with the little arms and things like that. So it was a really calm environment. Something I didn't expect when I started going into surgeries is how the environment would be kind of so lively and energetic, and
Mm.
in a lot of surgeries, they're actually playing music and, like, chatting the whole time. I thought it was gonna be super serious and silent, but, um, yeah, that was something that was definitely surprising, but I always enjoyed that when I would go in and they would kinda have the music playing and,
Mhm.
everyone's really excited to have me there, so,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I got to see a bunch of different procedures when I was in school.
And you saw a C-section, right?
I did see a C-section, and I actually illustrated it as well. I took that one all the way to completion. That was probably my favorite surgery that I saw. It was just amazing that I was able to even go and see that. We had the privilege of having the teaching hospital where it was just they offered all sorts of procedures, and we had
Mhm.
access to that, labor and delivery unit. And so going in there, seeing that, illustrating it, and being there for such a special moment it was something that I won't ever forget for sure.
And I think that's really the gist of the talent and the skill of medical illustration, right? Is that ability to communicate what you saw, right? And to be able to
Yeah.
zoom in. And it really is communication, right? And you're trying to really translate this into an audience. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
totally. I feel like part of the field to me is kind of 3 things. It's the art, it's the science knowledge, and then also the ability to tell a story and
Mhm.
to have the desire to tell that story and kind of being able to figure out what is important to this story, what can I maybe leave out,
Mhm.
considering the audience and what the audience might resonate the most with, and kind of putting all those pieces together to make the best story possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think anybody who works in healthcare, at least in my experience, witnesses both the love, what you're talking about, like these incredible surgeries and these incredible people, but also the outrage and things that are frustrating and things that you wish you could change. So tell me about, with your work sort of adjacent into the healthcare space and like working in that clinical space, were there things that stood out to you that you're like, oh, I wish I could change this. I wish I could remake this. And, how did you kind of find that balance?
Yeah, yeah, good question. I think I saw a lot of these things and a lot of the challenges firsthand when I was working on my master's project. And
Mm,
so I was working with the urology clinic on our campus to develop materials for advanced prostate cancer patients
mm,
that were undergoing hormone therapy. And so, as part of my research, I actually went to a support group for these patients and I got to talk to them firsthand about kind of their struggles and their experience. And so many of them lacked even the basic knowledge about their
mm.
condition and the medications that they were on, even though they had been on these medications for, say, 20 years.
Wow.
And so it was something that I kind of set out as my mission for my second year of school to make materials that were going to help increase kind of healthcare literacy amongst these patients. And also, I wanted to depict them in the materials themselves. That's something that's really important to me is that the patient is able to kind of see themselves in the
Mhm,
illustrations that they're actually learning from.
mhm.
And so I feel like I approach things with maybe an empathetic approach and also keeping the patient in mind and helping them feel included. I feel like that's something that we can always be improving upon.
We have a lot of work to do to rebuild trust, right? And
Yeah.
a picture's
hmm
worth 1,000 words. Do you feel like illustrations can be a useful tool for like trust and kind of changing that relationship?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
definitely think so. And I feel like illustrations and pictures, they're kind of what I like to say, they're a universal language. And so
Mm,
anyone is able to see them and understand and kind of get a certain emotion from them, whether that emotion is, compelling them to do something or compelling them to trust the information they're receiving. I feel like illustrations are a really powerful tool for that.
yeah. So tell us, I know you're just in the very start of your incredible career of being this very sought after medical illustrator. What are some wins that really stand out to you as big highlights so far?
Well, definitely first and foremost is my TikTok page. I feel like it has just provided me with so many opportunities, and it's connected me with so many people that I never would have been able to
Mm,
connect with if I didn't have the page and didn't have the success online. And I just feel really grateful for that. And so that's definitely a huge win. And I feel like not only have I had those opportunities, but I've been able to kind of communicate firsthand with
mm,
millions of people, or at least see their comments and see how they're feeling, about the state of
mhm,
healthcare and the state of learning about healthcare and learning about their own health. So that's been definitely a big win for me. And then, my master's project that I talked about, where I was able to actually do something that would leave a lasting mark
mhm,
in the clinic and kind of create those materials for patients. And so, yeah, and also just I think the biggest win is finding something that I'm really passionate about. Like, I love this field, and I feel like it aligns so perfectly with my
mhm,
own interests that I've always had my whole life. And so I'm really excited about any potential change that I can make going forward.
mhm.
Yeah.
Have there been any really unexpected or surprising connections on social media for you of somebody reaching out or somebody saying something and just, very unexpected?
Um, I have had some collaboration experiences or opportunities with brands that I've loved for a long time, so that's been
Mhm,
really cool. But in the field of medical illustration, so I was actually just at the Association of Medical Illustrators conference last week,
mhm,
and I was just kind of milling around the exhibit. It was the first night of the conference, and I was talking to one of my former classmates, and this guy that I recognize from social media comes up to me, and he is a very well-known medical illustrator on Instagram, and he's
mhm.
also an alumni of my program, and we all kind of look up to him and admire him, maybe fangirl a little bit. And so he actually came up to me and was like, "Hey, McKenzie, like, I have seen your videos, and I admire your ability to tell the stories through videos and things like that." So that was kind of like a
Mhm.
starstruck moment for me. Um, yeah, so that was really cool for sure, for
That's awesome.
sure.
You guys are both huge, huge fish in huge ponds.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about, like dream projects from here. What would be like the just absolute like best possible setting for you to be invited to work in or, team to join? Like, what does that look like in your career next
Ooh,
steps?
that's a really good question. I feel like any project that I see having a potential huge impact or
Mm.
lasting long-term impact on, healthcare learning or just patient
Mhm.
well-being would be amazing. I'm really interested in oncology. My family has had a lot of experiences with, cancer and cancer diagnoses to where I feel like the area of patient education for cancer patients could really be improved upon. So if someone
Mhm.
came to me with a project about that, I would be really excited to work with them on that. But, you know,
Yeah.
just really anything that I'm working on, I feel like is great.
Is that today
Go
most
ahead.
frequently, being hired by a medical device company or being hired by a pharmaceutical company or being hired by a health plan? Like who's investing the most today usually in medical illustrations?
Hmm. I would say probably the area of biotech
Mm,
and
mhm,
pharma. They definitely hire a lot of medical illustrators and a lot of kind of creative firms that work with
mhm,
medical illustrators to create maybe mechanism of action videos and
mhm,
materials and things like that. But also institutions and hospitals do often hire medical illustrators to work with their doctors and their researches to make materials and work on grant
mm,
proposals and everything. So there are a lot of places where medical illustrators kind of work behind the scenes to kind of help everything succeed at a bunch of different
mhm.
places.
And
Yeah.
probably a lot of room for more public health. I mean, we're seeing a really big boom in Medicaid outreach and Medicaid expansion programs. And a lot of that is like public health communication, which has really fallen off in recent decades as like a thing that we're trying to do and set a good foundation of how we communicate around prevention and, public health type themes. I would imagine that that's potentially a big area of educating people about vaccines. We're seeing a huge
Oh,
outbreak
yeah.
now with congenital syphilis, which is babies born with syphilis from their mothers, which is totally preventable, really, really
Mm-hmm.
easy to stop, and like something that we should absolutely not be dealing with in 2024. So showing that there's a huge need for this kind of communication and education out there in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about public health and medical illustration, I'm thinking kind of the CDC. I know they have a big medical illustrator team that is always
Mhm.
kind of looking out for those new public health topics and making materials about those. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely
That's
medical illustrators are working in that kind of
wonderful.
sphere.
And so how do you keep your art, diverse in terms of practicing different styles and different techniques? Are you drawing things that are well outside of the medical space as part of your art? Or are you really just focused in entirely on the medical illustration?
Yeah, I would say I try and kind of do it all,
Mhm.
um, without, expanding my scope too much because then it's like, you know, I'm kind of only sort of good at a bunch of different things rather than being
Yeah.
really good at a couple things. So I'm really trying to kind of stay diverse, but also hone in at times.
Mhm.
I do like to just draw things sort of outside medical illustration in my free time, just because
Mhm.
I've always loved just drawing all kinds of different things, maybe animals and things like that. But yeah, I feel like on a day to day basis when I'm working, I stay kind
Mhm.
of in the medical realm when it comes
Mhm.
to my art. Yeah.
And when you were younger as a student before you went into this career path, were you the kind of person who was always doodling, sketching things out? Like, is this just a way that you interpret information generally, right? Is through drawing and kind of like processing it that way?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, especially when it came to learning science,
Mhm.
I would always have to draw pictures and little diagrams and things for myself. And also, just in class, if
Mhm.
I was having a hard time focusing, my hand would always have to be drawing something. So, yeah, my hand's always going, always sketching something. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm the same. My notebooks always look a little intense with just like drawings and scribbles everywhere. I just feel for myself, like so many people, if you're not writing it down physically with a pen or drawing it and sketching it, it's just such a powerful way to learn and really absorb information in a way that like you're not going to get just from listening to a podcast or watching a video or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that too, and I'll get people commenting on my videos sometimes saying, "Oh, this is great, like, I'm a student, I wish I could draw like this." And I'm like, "You don't have to be, super good to benefit from drawing these things," you know? Like, even when I was learning anatomy in school, even in graduate school, I would do really quick, like, sketches of things just to internalize the information. So, you're right, it really is about
Mhm.
just kind of going through the motions of drawing these things that helps solidify them in your
Mm.
memory, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And tell me about things that are inspiring you just in general right now in your life. Like, are there artists or books or podcasts, people that you're following that are really kind of pointing you in the right direction?
Oh, I mean, there's so many if you go through, like, my Instagram following, I'm always keeping up with what my peers are doing, and, like I said, I was just at the conference, and so I got to see kind of all the new techniques that are being used in the field right now, and I also got to go through the exhibit, the salon, and see all of the work that was done by professionals and put on display, and also there was a student exhibition, and so
Yeah.
I really just try and keep up to date with what as many people in the field are doing as possible, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn, just like kind of scrolling through there. I can't really name names off the top of my head because then I'm like, I feel bad if I forget like someone that I really
You don't
like
want
to
to
look
pick any
at.
favorites here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there are so many good ones out there. I'm sure
Yeah,
if anyone wants to just go to my Instagram and go through the people I'm following, there's like a treasure
that's the
trove
place to
there of
start.
great people to get inspired from. Yeah, but I would definitely say like my classmates for sure, and like I do have some basically best friends that I've made from graduate school, and it just is so awesome that we're in this field together. And so they always inspire me, and they're always so supportive of my latest projects and my latest videos that I'm working on. So yeah, definitely the other people in the field serve as great
You
inspiration.
mentioned new techniques. Like, what's the hot new trend in medical illustration right now?
Oh, there's the topic of AI, and its
Yeah, sure.
inevitable integration into workflow. But thankfully, the industry is so reliant on accurate depiction of information
Mhm.
and, meticulous attention to detail that AI will likely never replace the need for human medical illustrators, but kind of using it as a tool for productivity and speeding up workflow is something that was talked about a lot,
Mm,
as well as kind of the ethical concerns, which I have a very loose understanding of. I don't use AI images in my work at all.
mhm.
And so I don't focus on that too much. But it is kind of a topic that they're talking about a lot just because it's something that is inevitably inescapable. It won't go
Mm.
away. And so just kind of figuring out how to, I guess, live alongside AI.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
AI is kind of notorious for not being able to get hands right.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
for traditional artists, hands are really hard to get right.
Yes, that is very, very true. Hands are super complicated. I think they are just now getting it to where it's doing hands a little bit better, but it
Mhm.
still is not able to accurately depict anatomy, like internal anatomy. It's a really long way away from doing that. So, yeah, the need will always be there for the humans involved
Yeah.
in the creation process.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's so specific, it's so technical. It's not the kind of thing that you can just get it partially right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Some people try and get away with it. There have been some stories and some scientific papers exposed for,
Oh,
people had images generated with AI and those actually got published. But,
oh.
they get found pretty quickly and people are picking out the mistakes. So, yeah. They're always funny to see those because they look okay from like maybe across the room and then
And
you
then
look
you
at them
start
up
to
close
zoom
and you're like, that's all gibberish right
in.
there.
Don't take
Yeah.
any shortcuts with your illustrations here. This is important work.
Yes, yes, you need a trained professional and not a trained AI robot doing that.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. How about things like 3D modeling? Is that also kind of starting to fall into the medical illustration world, or is that
Oh,
still
yeah.
separate? Mhm.
Yeah, no, there's 3D modeling and 3D animation have definitely been a part of the field for, a decent amount
Mhm.
of time now, and we were trained in those in school. I've
Mhm.
always been more of a 2D artist, and that's kind of what I've leaned into the most,
Mhm.
throughout my education, but it is something that I do try and have kind of a basic understanding of in case a project did come my way that was 3D based. But yeah, 3D modeling animation definitely really big, especially when it comes to biotech, and depicting kind of molecular interactions and things like that.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much that we still don't know or like know but can't communicate to people like how exactly it works. I mean, things
Hmm.
are just advancing so fast with, personalized medicine and the gene editing that we're able to do now. It's can be scary for people. You feel like the world is moving so fast, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. One more thing about the 3D animation and modeling that I just remembered that I can't believe I haven't mentioned yet. But everyone has seen it. It's the COVID-19 kind of image that was the first one that came out when COVID first, was
Yeah.
spreading around. Yeah, the
Mhm.
gray one with the red spikes, the red spike
Yeah.
proteins. So that was actually a 3D model that was made at the CDC by medical illustrators. And
Oh,
so,
amazing.
that's just an application of 3D modeling that I feel like everyone has seen. And
Mm.
also, you know, alumni from the program are very proud of that one because it was done by an alumni
It was
of
seen all
Augusta.
over the
So,
world. That was
and
huge.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about, the utopia. This is always the last question that we kind of use to wrap up our conversation of, what would an ideal world with medical illustration look like from your perspective, or just even outside of medical illustration? Like, what's a healthcare utopia look like to you?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to focusing more on patient-centered care. I
Mm,
feel like, with the things that I've seen lately about healthcare and just kind of the trend has just been that it's kind of centered around profits maybe and
mhm,
money involved when it really should be about the patient. And also,
mhm,
when it comes to medical illustration, its impact on healthcare and kind of helping create that utopia. I feel like just helping every patient to feel included and help every patient understand exactly what they're going through, exactly
mhm,
what's being told to them by their physician, and then also help them feel represented in the works as well so they can actually see themselves in it, That's something that's really important to me, definitely. And then also just continuing to make life-saving advancements in medicine. I'm always amazed to see the latest thing that's coming out, and then also the role that medical illustrators play and kind of getting that information out to the world.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's incredible the amount of advances we're able to make. And then, but wanting to balance that with those fundamentals, right? Of people still needing
Yeah.
to understand some basic anatomy, how your body works, like why this medication works in the way it does. And social media has become such a powerful tool for that, when we see people who are doing these great explainer videos. So I love that focus on both like the great innovation, like just moonshot things that are saving lives and ending really horrible diseases. But then also like, let's help people understand the basics, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. I feel like that is how you're going to help build trust, is when people have some
Mhm.
sort of understanding themselves, for
Yeah.
sure.
And so when you go to the doctor yourself, do you tell them that you're a medical illustrator? Because they always ask like what your profession is at the start, or do you come up with something else and say, you're an accountant or
Oh, no, no, no. I will always tell people, yeah,
uh-huh,
I feel like especially at the doctor,
uh-huh.
like, sometimes I'll go in and, they think I'm just another patient, and then it's like,
Mhm.
"Okay, so what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually a medical illustrator," and they're like, "Oh, wow, like, I loved the
Eh,
pictures in my textbooks when I was in school." Like, I feel
ah,
like whenever I bring it up,
okay.
especially in that setting, there's always a potential to make some sort of new connection, just have a great interaction with
Yeah.
someone, and just, who knows? Make an impression on their day. They go home later, they're like, "Guess who I met today at work? I met a medical illustrator." So, yeah,
Right.
I'm always excited to tell people kind of
That's
what I do, and
amazing.
I'm always happy to explain if it's someone who's not, like, in healthcare, or maybe,
Mm.
not in science or medicine, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm
Mhm.
always happy to explain, from the very basics. So, yeah.
I love it. Sometimes I hesitate because I know, when I tell somebody I work in healthcare communications, it kind of derails the rest of my appointment sometimes. And we end up having like a half-hour conversation about the state of healthcare and like where we're at. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but I am here for, like this shot that I need to get.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I had something kind of similar happen when I was training for a half marathon, my first year of grad school, and I started getting this pain in my leg. I went to an orthopedist, and turns out I had a stress fracture in my fibula. And
Mm,
so then while I was at the clinic and they were talking to me, and I eventually came out that I was studying medical illustration, and it was like, "Oh, wow." We had this whole conversation about it for like 15 minutes. And then
uh,
he starts explaining my, problem to me. He's like, "So you have your tibia and your fibula." I'm like, "Okay,
you're like, I
so I
got
just told you
that
what I do." I'm like, "I know what those are."
part.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fun to be an insider. And then also sometimes you're like, yeah, I've been tempted to just pretend that I'm an accountant or, that I do something very boring and that I'm not working in healthcare sometimes. And I,
Yeah, yeah, then you can kinda, like, fly under the radar
yeah.
and just, like, get done what you need to get done. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yep,
So where can
yeah.
people find you? Because you have just launched out on your own. You're launching your own business. You're taking on new projects. Like I said, very sought after name in the medical illustration world. But where can people find you if they want to follow your work on social or if they want to hire you to work on a project?
Yes. Okay, so I would say definitely go to my Instagram. It's
Mhm.
McKenzieCYoung.art. My TikTok is McKenzie C. Young. And then my website, where you can contact me, see my portfolio, is McKenzie-Young.com. And then my LinkedIn page, I just made one for my business yesterday. It's Mackenzie
Congratulations.
Young. Thank you. Someone could be my first follower on there.
I will be.
So that page, it's also linked on my personal LinkedIn, but it's Mackenzie Young Biomedical Visuals. Yeah, so contact me on any of those. I am, available for hire for any sort of project, whether it's research or for patient education or commercial use. And, you know, I'm always eager to hear what people have going on that they maybe need help with.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure you're going to be so busy and completely packed with new business any day now. But it's
Hopefully.
I really feel like we're at the precipice of a big reinvestment in our healthcare fundamentals. We see it with these Medicaid expansion programs. We see it. I mean, we're just seeing, honestly, as our business at Uncommon Bold, seeing so much investment now in patient education, patient engagement. People, I think, really starting to maybe reappreciate the work, that you can't just make something amazing and sort of like a build it and they will come mentality. You really need to involve the clinicians and the patients in the conversation of trying to bring everyone to the table. So I think you're going to be very busy. I have a feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Is there anything else I should have asked you?
I don't think so. I think the only other thing I had notes about is, my favorite things I've been enjoying lately, if
Oh,
anyone is
please give me
interested in
those.
knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite books. I just read a Kristen Hanna book recently, one of her new
Oh,
releases called The Women. It was about nurses in Vietnam. Fascinating read,
yes.
very
Yeah.
riveting.
Okay.
Yeah. And some food I've been enjoying lately. I'm really into Middle Eastern food lately, specifically kebabs. I
Oh,
just feel
nice.
like it's just so refreshing. Yeah, so those are some of my favorite things that
I
I've been
love that.
enjoying lately.
I lived in
Yeah.
Ireland for a while way back, and they called them kebabs. So every time I see
Oh,
it,
yeah, with the accent.
kebab.
Kebab.
Yeah. That's incredible. I've been meaning to check out that book, The Women. I saw somebody reading it on the train yesterday, and I was like, oh, great. But
Yeah.
I am a book hoarder. I have so many books that piled up on my bedside table that I need to get through first.
Ooh.
So I'm going to read.
Ooh.
I do like one a week. You try to do.
That's really good. Yeah. That's
There's
doing better than
so
me
much out
lately.
there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, McKenzie. I'm really glad that we're connected. I hope we get to team up on our project someday soon. And
Yeah, I would love that.
I hope everybody gets to check out your work, and that you continue to help us understand our bodies and understand medicine a little bit more.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been an amazing chat. And, I'm looking forward to any conversations in the future.
Yay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, McKenzie. We will see you online on your LinkedIn very soon.
Yes. Yes. All right.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.